Hey everybody, welcome to the Hennepus Morning Show, where we talk about real health rooted in real tradition. For the past little while, or last video, we were talking about different diets. That's what we're going to do for the next little bit. Because there's a bunch of them out there. It's like, what do I do for health? Where do I go? And there's this stupid little icon above my head. Hold on. There we go. That's better. So, nothing that I'm going to talk about on here is intended to diagnose, treat, or prescribe. It is for educational purposes. We're going to have some fun here. There's a lot of different diets out there, and I get asked about these a lot with clients. Uh, Different ones at different times, and this is a very popular one: intermittent fasting. There's a lot of fasting things, not just intermittent fasting, but fasting in general. There's actually, when I work with clients, there's only one type of fast that I actually would ever recommend. And I only would recommend it at certain times when people are doing certain things. If a fast is not done properly, it'll actually reset your metabolism the wrong way. Now, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that. They're going to disagree. No, fasting does all these wonderful things. Fasting done right at the right time, controlled the right way, can metabolically shift you the right direction. But if you do fasting wrong, you will reset yourself in the wrong direction. And I've seen it over and over. I've had clients that have come to me that used to educate people in intermittent fasting and were mentors and other things like that, and their business shut down because they no longer could do that because it didn't work for them anymore. And they were having a hard time to be able to actually lose weight. Some of the hardest people to help them to get to a healthy point and a healthy amount of food that they're eating and regulating it and getting their mineral back are individuals that have intermittent fast or calorie deficit for a long period of time. The longer that goes on, the worse it gets. Now, let's get into why. Okay? Why would fasting cause problems? Okay? Especially when you do it often. Now, let's back up to what food is. I mean, if you're eating good food, it's not the enemy. It's actually the benefit. When you eat good whole grains, they have good nutrients in them. They have minerals, they have vitamins, they have a bunch of other things that are probiotics for your gut and all kinds of stuff. Oddly enough, the ones that we beat up the worst, like wheat, the bran on wheat actually helps to shut down our genetics for inflammation, and it helps make us more sensitive to insulin and more sensitive to leptin. They've done plenty of research on that, but there's so many benefits from these different foods that we demonize or we're scared of or things like that. We start to blame it on actually what's good for us, not the fact that our system that processes what's good for us is broke or has a problem. We need to fix it. So we just avoid things by either just not eating at all or eating a bunch less. And then the sad thing that happens when we eat less. Yes, maybe you can force yourself into losing weight. You can stress your body in such a way that it gives you energy. You can feel better because of the specific type of stress you create, because when your body has a chemical stress response, it shuts down your mental stress response. It shuts down your ability to feel your illness and other things like that. So you can feel like everything's great merely because you got a stress response, a chemical stress response. But did it fix things? Nope. Just made it so you can ignore it. Did it fix the problems with weight? Well, if you eat less, eventually your body's going to have to sacrifice something. And there's ways to make it so it's sacrificing more of the fat than it is the muscle, but we're still sacrificing stuff because your body can't continue to operate properly. I believe that we should clean and give nutrients to the system of the body that's affected, and then the body's able to create the miracles and do it itself. We don't treat or manage diseases. We don't go after diseases. We don't just treat people for having extra weight to get rid of that weight. No, we clean and give nutrients to this system that manages that, and the body regulates and takes care of itself. When intermittent fasting works for specific people, generally it's because they've got wonky ups and downs with their sugars. You can actually, Glucose Goddess talks about this a lot, but there's these ups and downs. And the one that actually messes with people and makes them want to not eat first thing in the morning, feel so much better when they don't, is what happens overnight. If your sugars dip too low overnight, there's actually a stress response that happens, and stress hormones are thrown in. And then that warms you up, speeds up your circulation, wakes you up. And then actually, your sugars can spike high at that point and can be higher than what they were when you went to bed. And even by morning, they can still be higher than they were when you went to bed, which means you could feel nauseated or sick or feel yucky and not want to eat first thing in the morning. And intermittent fasting makes sense for that person because their sugars are already high from this response. But the solution can actually be something really basic, really easy. For this individual, sometimes, now not always, sometimes there's other issues that need to be addressed, but sometimes taking just 4 ounces of prune juice and 4 ounces of water right before you go to bed. Prune juice is a really slow burning sugar, it's a low glycemic sugar. And so what's going to happen is it's going to slowly burn overnight, preventing that dip. So you don't get that dip and that spike. The other thing that happens at that time, there can be an adrenal response, and if the adrenals aren't doing as good, so in other people, it's essential, and sometimes you have to do both. But in other people, it's essential to support the adrenals so you don't get that dip overnight as well. And the formula that we use for that is called glandular energy. And generally, if someone will take 3 of that with a prune juice, that for most people makes a big difference with that not dipping and having that stress response in the middle of the night. That generally happens between 1 to 3, sometimes even later in the night, but generally it's sometimes between 1 and 3. The person will wake up. Sometimes they don't wake up too warm. They just wake up and have a hard time getting back to sleep. Sometimes they wake up really hot and toss and turn the rest of the night. Those types of individuals are going to feel like, oh, intermittent fasting is almost essential. I just don't eat breakfast because I don't feel good. Then the other people that are going to feel like intermittent fasting works well for them is as well individuals that those sugars are erratic and they eat first thing in the morning and they eat carbohydrates. So they eat something that makes it so their sugars immediately have a spike and a dip. And then the rest of the day they're on this roller coaster. They're like, oh, if I don't eat first thing in the morning, I don't feel terrible the rest of the day. That's not because you didn't eat. That's because you didn't eat the right thing. It's not, you're not feeling terrible because you did eat in the morning. It's because you ate the wrong thing in the morning to stabilize that so we don't get those spikes and dips the rest of the way. If you actually um, ate the right things first thing in the morning, for those individuals that don't wake up sick, they feel like they could eat. If you do eat the right thing, you're not going to get those spikes and dips all day. If you eat the wrong thing, you're going to kick off those spikes and dips, and they could be really terrible the whole day. Now, when I'm talking about these spikes and dips, the sugars, they can be within the normal range. If it spikes from the bottom of the normal range to the top of the normal range, that's a huge spike. Even half is a big spike. You only want about a quarter of a spike, a quarter of the full range in spike when you're managing your sugars. If you have more than a quarter of a spike, then the problem is that you're getting too much of a movement between one and the other. And there's going to be more symptoms that happen that you're going to feel more miserable the rest of the day. Fasting, obviously, those aren't happening. But actually, they can still, to some degree, because you're going to dip, your body's going to go to stress and throw it up, and you got some wonky things could still possibly be happening. And then you're going to try to throw all of the food you need to consume in a shorter period of time. And in that shorter period of time, your body does not have the time to get all the mineral it would need out of your food. It does not have the time to get all the vitamins it would need out of the food. It does not have the time to process and utilize all that food you would need to maintain the nutrient balance. Most people are so nutrient deficient and they're trying to reduce food to make them lose weight, but food is oftentimes the only place they're getting those nutrients. And the sad thing is, no matter how much you supplement, you're never going to win against what you could get from food. And so just deciding, if you just want to lose weight, fine. Okay, you can do 100 different diets and lose weight. But if you want to be healthy, you need to not just focus on just the weight, because what makes you lose weight quickly and what makes you get to the point of where you want to be is generally the same thing that makes it so it's harder and harder to stay there, because reducing calories can make it so your body requires less calories to do the same thing. And if you ate a normal amount of calories, you'd now start to gain weight at your maintenance calories. For somebody with their normal weight, with their maintenance calories, if you gain weight at maintenance calories, your metabolism has been shifted low. And so if you do a deficit to get that to shift around, you're going to struggle, especially in women. Because if a woman is under calories for more than 3 days in a row, she'll become leptin resistant. Now, what's leptin? It's a hormone that triggers you to feel full. It's a hormone that your fat cells put off, saying, I'm here, this is how much is here. And so if you're under calories more than 3 days in a row, you become leptin resistant. There's a bunch of other things that can cause you to be leptin resistant, but this is one. And so if a woman forces herself to stay low and loses weight by just deficit. The problem is that her body's going to re-regulate and say, okay, well, leptin's been shut down, all these things. We have to somehow re-regulate to run on less calories. And so it works. At first, you're like, okay, you lose weight and it's working because that's too little for where it's regulated at. And then you get regulated at that point and you start to maintain, you're eating less calories, and consistently you start to eat less calories than even maintenance, even hitting maybe your goal weight. And then if you go up to maintenance calories for your goal weight and you start to gain weight, you're regulated too low. And it's just again showing you're not causing a healthy process to happen. We are so obsessed about weight and the way we look and all these different things that we sacrifice health for the look. We sacrifice health for our waist size. We sacrifice health for all of these different things, and we think we're getting healthier. You are not getting healthier by losing weight. You are losing weight, and you may be losing it at the expense of your health for two reasons. You can lose weight at the expense of your health for two reasons here. One, you could be eating so much less that you're not getting enough mineral and nutrients because you're not eating enough to get that. And two, you're forcing your body to break down the fat cells that it said the fat that's there is too toxic. I put garbage in there to store because I couldn't process it. It couldn't go out the cleansing organs. So what did I do? I created fat. That's what your body's saying. Your body creates extra cells, extra fat cells to store what it doesn't want floating around in the bloodstream, what it doesn't want interacting. It's like, I can't filter this out. I don't have the capacity to get rid of all of this extra garbage. And so what does it do? It says, okay, let's create fat cells. Let's throw all of this extra stuff I can't use in these fat cells so we can operate normally. So when you force fat loss, and you're doing, especially as a deficit, especially as women, you are going to reset your metabolism to lower, and you're going to force the burning of toxic fat. And in doing that, you're not promoting health. If you want to promote health, it's better to actually start to clean the body to get rid of those toxins and encourage the body to actually start to purge the toxins out of the fat cells, and then encourage those fat cells to leave. And oftentimes, you get the toxins out of the fat cells and there's no more purpose of those fat cells, and the body starts to dump those fat cells on its own. But the more stubborn the fat is, the more likelihood that it's full of garbage toxins. And the other likelihood is that you've already deficit too much that you just can't get rid of this, and your body has to protect you because it knows, oh, I don't know when this crazy person's going to starve me again, so I'm holding on to everything I possibly can. So just going through just deficits to lose weight is about losing weight. I do not work with people to help them just lose weight. If you just want to lose weight, go find somebody else. Do some other diet or something like that, because that's not at all what I do. I help people to get health, and then their body gets better at being able to lose. And sadly, people value their weight above their health, and they're not patient enough to allow their body to get healthy and ignore their weight for a little bit, so then their body can regulate their weight long term. Sometimes the body, in the process of starting to heal, will actually gain a little bit more weight before it gets rid of weight. But because we're so obsessed about weight and we can't even gain even a pound more or anything like that, because of that obsession of having to lose this weight now, people are sacrificing their health for weight. Doesn't make them better. I have all kinds of people that have come in that have done these extreme diets. Did it make them healthier? No. Most times it makes them sicker, and it makes them feel sicker for longer because your body having extra weight is actually a way to buffer illness when it comes in, or things that your body can't deal with. It can just throw it into fat cells and you can feel good. There's a lot of people that feel good and operate in a lot of ways, and the only way they feel sick or the only thing they feel is a problem is their weight. And the reality is, they actually have a lot of bad health, but all that bad health is stored in the fat cells. And in order to get things operating properly, we got to open up the cleansing organs and start to move everything out. And as we start to get rid of all of these extra toxins in the fat cells and start to clean up the body has a better capacity to actually regulate it. That's one of the things, managing of the sugars. There's several different things that you could actually do to see what's going on with you and actually move yourself positively the right direction and allow your body to develop the weight that it should have. But if you're obsessing about your weight and you are willing to lose weight at any cost, I'm not the person to. If you want to get healthy and understand eating food for the reason of being healthy, that's a completely different story. And as you get healthy, the natural consequence is that your body will start to get the shape that you want. If you are unhealthy, you're going to fight that for a long time. And if you fight that enough with the traditional methods of these fasting or avoidance or all these other diets, you will end up on the long term a lot harder for me to take care of. A lot of people have come to me at that point, and it's so tricky because they've abused their bodies to the point that to do normal things, to do things that would actually help them heal and get better and give nutrients to their body, is going to make them gain weight because we can't even get enough mineral in them through diet and through what they should be eating without making them gain weight because they've reduced their metabolism to the point that they cannot handle the volume of food their body should be able to process and positively use, and to be able to get rid of what it doesn't need and use properly the stuff that it does need. If you cannot eat a maintenance calorie dose for your weight and not gain weight, again, you've got problems. Your body is set too low of a metabolism, and it needs to be trained and healed and getting to operate properly. And the first thing that happens is not the loss of weight. The fast weight loss, 99.9% of all the fast weight loss stuff is sacrificing health to get the weight. And they're like, oh, well, we could sacrifice health to get the weight. And then once the weight's down, then we can get healthy. No, not necessarily. Because when you sacrifice health for weight, you also sacrifice the way that the hormones regulate, the way your body is regulated. Your body gets used to regulating at that point and then getting up to a normal amount of food for where you want to stay weight wise can actually make you gain weight and be very frustrating. And that mindset and everything about losing weight like that, there's a huge mindset thing that has to shift if someone truly wants to get healthy and lose weight. It's not going to happen just from just deficit. But if you want to be healthy, like in all reality, we trick ourselves in our brain. We think, oh, I just want to lose weight. And why do you want to lose weight? Because, oh, I'll feel better. My knees won't hurt as much. My blood pressure will be better. All of these different things that we tag on all of our health problems, we're saying it's because of our weight. Not. You can actually get a lot of these doing better and functioning well. You can actually operate looking completely normal and completely healthy while having extra weight. You can get to feeling great while still having extra weight. And that is actually a heck of a lot easier to get to feeling great while having extra weight than it is to lose the weight in a healthy way. You can drive that weight away, but that doesn't mean that everything is just better. It is easier to get things better and then to start focus on losing weight. Now, someone wants to lose weight properly, you have to take responsibility. You have to take responsibility for everything that goes in your mouth and seeing what your numbers are. It takes work to work with me and get things done properly. I don't just do all the work for you. I don't make you just. I don't tell you, oh, this is just what you do, and I do everything for you. No, I have you track for yourself. We'll use a continuous glucose monitor at times. We use different tracking things for you to find out how your body responds to foods and get your body properly responding to food. We should be able to handle every variety of food that God created without it making us feel bad or sick. If it does make us feel bad or sick, yeah, there are occasional things with genetics or true allergies that happen. Barring those, 99% of people should be able to handle all varieties of food without feeling sick. If you're one of those individuals that is sensitive to a variety of different foods, it can merely be because you've your digestive tract has degraded and doesn't have a strong enough digestive enzyme, doesn't have a strong enough capacity to process these foods. And it's showing you, I don't have the strength for that food. I don't have the strength for that food. And you have to get to where, okay, these foods, my body has the strength for. And you just eat those foods for now. And then as your body heals, then you can add more and more and more foods to what you consume that your body can break down and process and handle. I see I found a trick that actually helps me to see most times what somebody's processing or what foods would most likely cause a problem just with a simple trick. All you have to do is get some pH paper and you just test your urine and your saliva pH. When you get the pH paper, it's best that it has a scale that goes up by a 0.2, and it should be somewhere between a 5.5 and an 8. So if you have a scale between 5.5 and an 8, and it goes up by a 0.2, that's a good pH scale. Hydrion is the one that I usually use, Hydrion. If anyone wants to call in and ask questions at this point, the number is 816 826 1533. So you get those pH strips and you check your mouth pH and you check your urine pH. If you're not 6.4 in both your urine and your saliva, then I've seen that people have signs of everything being weaker, digestive enzymes and other stuff like that. If it's high, both urine and saliva are above 6.4, then you're seeing, oh, okay, we've begun to have issues. Sometimes people don't have as many symptoms at that point. But then the next one, when the urine pH is low and the saliva is high, that's generally where I start to see food sensitivity. If your urine pH is below 6.4 and saliva is above, generally there starts to be gas and bloating, and there starts to be a variety of food sensitivities start to get up. Especially the further they get away from each other, the more drastic those food sensitivities get. And the closer you get to each other, and the closer you get to 6.4, the better those get. The third stage that I see is that urine is high and saliva is low. And that one, we're actually seeing like more acid reflux type things generally. And again, the digestive enzymes have weakened. And in these stages, as you walk down these stages, you progressively have less capacity for processing meat and getting everything out of it. It doesn't make you, means it makes you sick. But I found that there's a less, the digestive enzymes weaken to the point that it's harder and harder and harder to get benefit from meat. And then as we walk down these stages as well, raw vegetables become harder and harder for the body to properly break down because they take stronger digestive enzymes than if it was cooked. Also, nuts, unless they're boiled to the point they're soft, also, as we work down this line, get harder to process. So the digestive enzymes weaken as we walk through those four stages. So both urine and saliva would be high, then they're going to be split two different ways, and then they're both going to be below 6.0. If both urine and saliva are below 6.4, then your digestive enzymes have generally weakened significantly, or it appears that way in the way that clients operate. Generally, their bowels are moving faster, and their left side's their weak side or their problem side. Everything starts to harden and dry out. Their digestive tract moves so aggressively. They generally have frequent urination and a variety of other things that start to happen. Merely by checking your pH, you can see those different things. And so there's so much that you can do on your own that you can check by yourself. And you can start to affect the way that you eat and affect the way that you're getting these minerals and the things you need to actually move towards health. So the question I have for you and the people that I want to work with, the people that I will like to help, is the people that are looking to be healthy and then realize that the way they look, their weight, and everything else is the consequence of being healthy. But their goal is health, not a goal of weight loss. I don't work with people with a goal of weight loss. I don't work with the people of a goal of taking care of a disease. I don't work with people with a goal of taking care of something bad. We don't focus on the bad. I only work with people that are focusing on health. They want to get healthy. and we get a picture of how far they are from health and move them towards health. And as your body gets healthier and healthier, the side effects of bad health start to get better. The side effects of bad health that we name 100 different things, the side effects in the way that we look, in the way that we feel, in the way that we operate get better as we move towards health. But it is not, to be truly healthy is not something I can give you. It is something that I can begin to teach you. And I can teach you how to be healthy, but to be healthy is to change your habits. It is to change your thought patterns. It is to change from who you are and what you do currently to a healthy way of doing it and thinking. If you do not change to that healthy way of doing it and thinking, it's not going to long term work. If you want quick fixes, if you want something that just instantaneously does it, then the path that I take people down is most definitely not for you. But um, if you want long term health and you want to start to feel better as you go along the right direction and know that you're actually in control of what is happening, if you want to actually take control of yourself and take responsibility for you, then I'm the person to help you to set the right goals and help you to move the right direction with those. The All of these diets of intermittent fasting, all these things, we've already talked about some of the detriment of it helps, but it doesn't because of that restriction that we go to. We go to severe restriction. And every diet that you look out there, whether it's keto or whether it's intermittent fasting or whether it's carnivore or vegetarian or vegan or whatever, they all are restricted. They restrict you from variety. And in that one thing, they destroy your health because the greater variety you have of food, the greater variety you have of emotional movement. Like if you throw yourself into a stress thing through fasting or through keto or things like that, you actually limit your emotional variety. And if you get into that stress mode and if you limit your food, you eliminate your mineral variety. Because a lot of people don't realize if one plant over here has iron in it and another plant has iron in it, they actually are molecularly different. And our body benefits from a variety of iron from different foods because they're different. They look different, they function different in the body, and our body benefits from that variety of the same mineral. When I say variety, sometimes people think variety of, oh, magnesium, calcium, phosphorus, getting all the minerals as variety. No, I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about variety of even calcium. Every plant is going to have calcium a different way, or iron a different way. It's going to be molecularly different. We actually benefit from that variety. The greater variety you can have of plants and animals and things that grow, the better off you are. And when food, the best thing when it comes to a diet, which it has die in it, it has dead. My mom hated that phrase, diet. When you come to a good eating plan should actually contain a good variety. And at first, it should just contain, well, actually, in general, it should contain what doesn't bother you. If you notice a food gives you an issue, avoid it until you're able to heal your digestive tract so it doesn't bother you anymore. But what foods should you eat? I've told you a lot about what not to do, but what should you eat? The way you should know what you should eat is how far is it from when it was grown. Basically, everything that is on this planet that God created for us to be able to consume grows, right? Animals grow, plants grow. So, how far is it from when it was finished growing? From the animals, actually, some of the least processed is animal because you just cut it and you can eat steak or other things like that, and it's very minimally processed. We actually process our other plants, our grains and other things like that, more. And so it's not really surprising that some of the main camps stick in protein or they stick in vegetables because those are naturally minimally processed, and they most always demonize the grains because those are generally aggressively processed. And merely by getting it from as close to when the grain was grown and it looks like a little seed that you could plant, the further you get away from that, the less beneficial it is and the longer it's been processed. Once you immediately grind grain, it's different than if you waited a week to use it. It's different than if you waited even a day to use it. We're going to lose stuff from it. So every time it's processed or ground, cut, sifted, whatever, every process that happens to it makes it go up in the way it spikes our sugars and makes it go down in mineral content. So it gets worse for us the further it goes from that natural source. So what food is good for you? All of them. They all have different purposes and they all have different benefits. Grains, beans, legumes, which are beans, your vegetables and fruits and meat and all of them. They were all designed for us to eat and be healthy with. And if you have to avoid one set or the other for a while, you need to recognize you need to take that time. Oh, when eating just meat, I feel better. Okay. So during that time, you better be, if you want to be healthy, you should be healing your digestive tract to the point that you can handle these other foods and then exercise your digestive tract by regularly starting to put some of them in so your body's ability to digest them gets stronger and stronger, that you actually work out your muscles for actually processing those foods. If you do not work out your muscles for processing those foods and just continue to avoid, you won't get to the point that you can process those foods, and you will limit yourself further and further. And you might even start to flip flop. Oh man, now my body can't process meat. It's just getting sick of that. And then, oh, vegetables are one of those things that are amazing. The meat thing was horrible. Not necessarily. It's your body is designed for all of it. And all of this just demonization of all these different foods that God created, I hate it. All the foods that God created as close to the source as they can grow are good for you. Now, some of you out there say, "Oh, well, what about organic and pesticides and all of these different things and genetic modification?" That is, I won't have that discussion with people until they can actually eat good foods. If you were eating whole grains and you were eating good foods and you're eating all of these things were already good and you had a good diet, then maybe we could level it up by getting quality improved. But if you can't even eat the right foods, why would I go to just, oh, it has to be the higher quality? No, grains, even if they're genetically modified, even if they're not organically grown, even if all of these things, they're still better than any of it processed. And until you can take your first step, you're not ready to take your third or fourth or fifth. And we discourage people by telling them, oh, you have to have the most expensive form of this. No, you don't. Even if you eat cookies regularly, and even if you take and go to the store and buy all the ingredients to make that cookie, and even if you use white flour and white sugar and all those things, that cookie is still going to be better for you than if you bought the cookie with everything else they did. And then if you wanted to improve that cookie, just by taking, now you did unbleached flour and you did like a raw cane sugar or things like that, you're now improve that cookie. You can continue to improve that cookie to the point that it's even fresh ground flour and done with a um, blubber milk soak overnight, and then that cookie is completely different and actually completely differently absorbable, and you can actually make things that taste yummy with whole grains. You just have to work a little bit more at it, and oftentimes you have to grind it yourself to really get that benefit. But for you to say no, you have to grind it, you have to be non-GMO'd, and it can't be anything but organic, we're restricting a lot of people that need that help. I'm not here for just those people that are way up here. And very rare are people ready for just avoiding all of these extra things. 90% of the time, people are ready and need to change what they eat and get a better quality amount of what they're eating and affecting the mineral. There's so much that can be done with shifting what the person is doing only by 20%. I believe heavily in just changing lifestyle by 20%. So growing up, or well, I'm not going back that far. As I was working solar, selling door to door, and I'd watch these guys set goals that were ridiculously high and never accomplish them. And they would have what's called a solar coaster. They would go up and they go down, and Sometimes on their down point, they leave and never come back because they just can't motivate themselves to do it some more. And I watched this up and down this crazy stuff. And I got myself stuck in that for a little bit, setting these higher goals. And then I read this book that changed the way that I set goals. And I'm not sure if I got all the principles from this book specifically, but Goals by Brian Tracy. And it talks about your subconscious. For 90% of people, your subconscious can only handle you changing by 20%. Only 10% of the people in this world that can make a goal higher than 20% and their subconscious not sabotage them. Your subconscious is what creates the healing, is what keeps the process going. You don't need a subconscious sabotaging. If you want to long term make things that change and function, you work within that 20%. So when I changed that, I went from selling 7 accounts a month to selling 13 accounts a month. But that wasn't my goal. That was my quarter goal. That was my goal for a quarter because that's what I had done. That's 20% more than what I had done in a quarter of sales. And the first month that I made that goal, within a week, no, within a month, I sold 13 accounts. Within a week, I sold 7, and it completely drastically blew out of the water my long-term goals. So there's a way to break this down to actually that I guess I'm going to need to set one specifically on goal talk one specifically on goal setting, because all of the health that we talk about, whether it's food or any other aspect, it's about setting goals in our life and being able to actually accomplish them. And when you set goals when it comes to food or change by 20% of what you've done, you actually set yourself up for your subconscious not sabotaging you and being able to have success and getting more and more. So I'll give you a little bit of a taster of this, just a little tidbit. Yeah, let's see, say you eat out every day. Okay? You eat out every day. And we'll just say you eat out 1 meal a day. So that's you're eating out 7 days a week, or we'll just say 5 days a week. So you're eating during your weekday, and maybe you eat at home on your weekend. We'll say 6 because Sunday maybe you just don't eat. Okay, so 6 days a week you eat out. Over a month, you're eating a bunch of different times. So actually, 5 is easier to do the math. So we're gonna stick with 5. So over a month, you're eating out 20 different times. Um, And so your goal on a daily basis could be not to eat out at all. Okay? Because that's reasonable. You eat out once and you're going to choose I'm just not going to eat out today. Okay? That could be your daily goal. Now if you take your daily goal and times that by 30, that means now you have a daily goal that means you're going to take your what you do in a month from 20 down to 0, which that's not reasonable. So daily, your goal would be I'm not going to eat out. Um, I'm not going to eat out today. On a day to day basis, I'm not going to eat out today. Now, if you accomplish your day to day for a whole week, that's huge. But your week goal should be 20% of what you've done. So your day goal is actually going to be your largest goal. Your largest goal is your day to day, and that's where your brain can wrap around it. It can't wrap around this going out into bigger and bigger and bigger. You can have a huge goal down here, but you have to work it down to your day to day, because where you can wrap around the biggest part of your goal is on your day basis. In a day, is it possible to not eat out? You've done it before. You're not going to die from it. Your body can believe that that day you could choose not to eat out, or that day you could choose to eat good, or that day you could choose to change your habit for that day. But your goal for the week needs to be that was 5. So 20% of 5 is 5 would be 0.5, so that'd be 1. So that would be you're going to eat out 4 times that week. Your goal would be in a week, you're going to eat out 4 times, so 1 time less. And then your month goal, which is 20, that would be take away 4. Um, so that would be 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, 16. Okay. So your weekly goal, your daily goal would be not to eat out. Your weekly goal would be to only eat out 4 times. And your monthly goal would be to eat out um, 16 times and to have 4 meals that you don't eat out. Now that seems ridiculous I know it seems ridiculous, like, oh, that's completely possible. And that is so stupid and silly. Now, it's your daily goal that you have control of. It's your daily goal that you can happen. It's your daily that makes the magic of everything else happening. So the way that you make this happen and it's successful is you focus on your day and then you get courage by these other goals. Because if you have a day that it's week one, you first day you're good, but then you eat out all the rest of the days, you hit your week goal and you're on pace for your month goal. If you um, if you don't eat out 3 times in that week, you've blown your week out of the water and you're one away from hitting your month goal. And that builds so much courage and excitement to actually continue to go and accomplish things. But if you don't reassess, this isn't going to work. You have to be able to reassess regularly to be able to grow your goal. But it sets up for exponential growth by focusing on the minute. And I will talk about that. Actually, I'll probably take a break from just talking about just diets. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about goals. We're going to talk about goals and how to actually accomplish those goals and what it takes within food and other things like that to really get there. But this is just a small tidbit and actually the main framework of properly setting goals. And maybe I'll spend in all of my videos have a little bit more about goals here. But your brain can only handle 20% change. And if you can see where you're truly at and you can set goals to properly move yourself the right direction, you can accomplish so many more things in your life than you would otherwise. So, goals, important thing. And the way that you set your goals and the way you change it, we have extreme diets. And I don't work with this over extreme. And one of the reasons why I don't have to work with this extra extreme is because what my dad did started 40 years ago in the formulas that he made. I don't have to tell somebody to avoid gluten. I've actually never had a client that I've had to just say, oh, you have to avoid this gluten to just get better. I've been able to say, here, you take these herbs, and if you take these herbs, then we can work forward and not have to change your diet drastically. And we're going to start to have success, and we can work within setting goals and changing and growing and improving. Most times, if they don't change anything, they can have success just by using these herbs. That's why I'm so thankful for what my dad did, that I don't have to go to these extreme measures because we can throw in some nutrients for that digestive system that makes it so we don't have to go to extreme measures with diet and things. And the thing that we usually use for this digestive system that helps you to not have to aggressively avoid foods is a formula called colon restore and one called colon ease. So one creates comfort in the digestive tract and the other one does the restoring and the fixing. They're both used together at a 2-to-1 ratio. So you use twice as much of the colon ease as you do of the colon restore. Usually you'll use 3 of the colon restore and 6 of the colon ease. And I've seen that is sufficient for most people, that I don't have to focus on aggressive elimination of any diet things. I don't have to force us into one box or the other. We can make little shifts. It's like, okay, if this food bothers you, let's avoid it until your body can handle it, and their body will begin to handle it again. I don't have to go to these extremes. I'm so thankful for not having to go to those extremes, because those extremes don't fix things. Those extremes just avoid. And sometimes people make it so they have a little bit more variety because they've taken off pressure for a while, but they don't fix it. And I prefer to fix things versus just band-aid them. So if you want a band-aid, do something different. We have gotten pretty much to the end here. At any point, if you guys want to call in on these videos, you can call in, but then you're welcome to leave messages on YouTube and I will check those out and respond. If you have any questions at any time, just leave your questions there and I will look at them. Next video, if you're watching these and you're going to get on the next one, jump in and prepare to call and ask questions. You guys have yourself a wonderful day and I will see you